RHOK!
Yep, okay. Oh, God. Hey, peoples, what's up? So, I've been wanting to make a video about this forever, and, I just kept assuming that it just wouldn't be an interesting topic, but I just don't care anymore. my tech nerd is just eating at my soul, and I want to talk about this, this thinking I had going on in my brain. And like, I'm pretty good at like just mechanically thinking of shit in my head, like I've always have been. Like before I ever even saw a diagram about how a internal combustion engine worked, I actually just figured it out. I was like, all I knew was there was a piston, this round cylinder that went up and down, and it was moved by fire from gas, air, and spark, you know. So I was like, okay, and I contemplated that in my head, and I'm little. I was really little at this, like elementary school. Like ADDing in my brain and not paying attention to what's going on in school. I was drawing diagrams on paper and figured out how all of it worked. Like you'd be surprised how far I got. I was like, okay, but how does the air and fuel get in? You know, it's like I came up with a valve system. It was nuts. And I actually went to a library back when libraries were still a happening thing. Remember that? Before the internet was a real deal. And I remember looking at a book and being like, wow, I was trying to tell my mom, like, I was like absolutely right, and she, you know, didn't really get it because she doesn't understand engines anyway. She didn't understand the magnitude. I might have been a bit of a genius. I'm popping my collar a little bit here, but you know, I'm just saying. That's pretty. I fucking give myself props for coming up with that. But I've always done it, like turbochargers, like everything. Like I just sort of, you know, even now when I hear about how something is, like I love Googling shit. You know, everyone does, but. Even I love to just like contemplate new ideas and think of shit. Anyway, now that you have my criteria, that's like my criteria of telling you I'm good at this stuff. But what I want to tell you is about my thinkings. My thinkings for how to make a turboed or supercharged any force injection two-stroke, and I know it's been sort of done before, but every time I see it, it's not, they're doing it wrong. The only thing that even sort of does it kind of right is like a turbo diesel two-stroke, which is a weird fucking thing. They use supercharging and turbocharging to keep boost up. Even they're not doing it quite right. And I don't even want to hear if I explain this. Someone's gonna go, "I already exist. You look, shut up!" But they fucking stole it from my brain. Been several things that's happened now with, and I don't even gonna care about it. With Steven Spielberg. Okay, you gotta know to some extent how a two-stroke works. First of all, I can't. Like, if you don't know, then Google up or something real quick. You know, like a diagram or something, like some kind of 3D model. You know, a two-stroke is like the action is simple, but the what's happening is more complex than in a normal engine, you know? Because you got too much going on at once, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's two processes every time we're going. Yeah, you'll figure it out, or you won't. If at this point you probably clicked off because, you know, I'm just going to go into this mechanical nerd tech talk shit about mechanical nerdisms. That truck was like, just like, no, I'm not going to get over it until now. It's not like room, but it's like, come on, dude. Come on, bro. So, and the way my design works too, it can still work with a carburetor, but ultimately this is probably like, if this ever gets built, that's probably going to be a forced injection because you're having to put a lot of technology into a two-stroke. You're not going to, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But direct injection is probably your best bet. But so imagine a two-stroke, just as it normally works. It's going to pull the air somewhere into the bottom of the crankcase, just as it always was, and it's going to, you know, if we're trying to just go with the ultimates, might as well be, right? We are talking about a pretty insane engine. It probably has oil injection, you know, right there at the throttle. It's, you know, we're getting oil all up in there, you know, roller bearings and all that shit. So that's like normal. And it pretty much, the whole bottomed in part works like normal. That's why I can still work with a carburetor, because it's still drawing air in through a throttle. They're never forcing air into the bottom end. And the reason you don't, like, one reason of many you don't want to do that is you're putting forced air into the bottom. You are making the piston fight that. Now it's just slightly. It's good. It's it's creating more power from the boosted air, but you're getting a you're actually costing yourself a little bit of power by doing it that way too. So mine pretty much works normal from there. Then the big difference is it's in the transfer ports from the bottom of the crankcase into the top of the cylinder. This is where you differ. We'll go this way. Do not pass. You shall not pass. Sorry. So the in the transfers, on conventional ones now, we don't have the piston dam. You got the cross shit. You know what I'm talking about. If you know two-strokes, you know what I'm talking about. Where basically you have transfer ports all around the piston. The piston goes down, and you have boom transfers like all around, except for on the exhaust side. That way the gases swirl all the way up to the top, go back down. They help push the exhaust gaskets out. Exhaust gaskets, yes. Then you have no gaskets. You're just like, it doesn't do that. It pushes the exhaust out, and that's all fine and dandy. But what mine is it's a single port, goes up into, and would have to be mounted directly on the side of the cylinder. Your blower, whether it's driven by exhaust gases, making it a turbocharger, having another wheel, or by pulley, doesn't really matter. And you'll see too, the way I'm saying this, it could be totally turboed. It wouldn't matter because you don't need the wave in the exhaust. We're eliminating that shit. Because we're gonna do something different here. So that's all cool. So it actually goes right there, whoop, into a little turbo, then whoop, right back into the cylinder. Now it'd have to be kind of a small one, especially because it's just you'd almost have to have a compressor for each cylinder. You know what I'm saying? You have to. It has to be a separate system. So, if you have a V8 or something, it would be crazy. Of course, same time, your head's a lot smaller. You could make it work, like a boxer engine or something with the shit all laid out on top. It's totally possible. They engineer some pretty crazy shit these days, so that's not the most impossible thing. Have you seen the fucking W engine that's in the Bugatti? Fuck my dick, that's some weird shit. So there's no intercooler or anything like that. If you want to keep the shit cool, you're just gonna have to put a big cooling, jacket area. That's how to cool it. You're just gonna have to cool it like that. You probably even have the compressor with a little cooling ring around it of some sort, with water cooling going through. At low RPM before the thing is spooled, it still will work. It still should work like a normal two-stroke, which is one of the things the diesel ones were running into a problem with because their design was not cool like mine. It should still work. You probably will have to hike the RPMs up a little bit because it has to pull through a compressor. When it's not forcing air, it's sort of fighting it slightly, But you should still get it to pull through it, all in all. And then what you got is, when it pushes the air back in, it's tight. It's a lot of shit right there with little thin passages and stuff. But what you have, the cylinder kind of gets thicker when you have the water jacket plus this weird new air jackets or air passages that run around it. They force the air back up into the to the top cylinder area. Now, just like before, I would like to make it go back out and have little ports all around. It's hard. It's little tight turns that they're having to make it before they're just slowing up. Now it's like they're kind of going up into the piston. It's a little more complex. But what we do is we eliminate the normal exhaust valve, if it has a valve, the exhaust port on the side. And this is why turbo supercharging a two-stroke wouldn't work for shit hardly anyway to begin with. Because as the air increases, there's that gap where both ports are open. Well, on a two-stroke, it already has the problem running naturally aspirated. It really only works best at like a certain RPM, And that's just in nature of how the thing works in nature, and that's just naturally how it works, Because there's just a certain RPM where those ports are in the right spot to make everything happy. We're going to have to run an exhaust valve at the top of this engine, just like a four-stroke. Obviously, it's going to open every time the engine's up top. It's going to open on every stroke, not every other stroke, But we can't even have it operate with a normal cam. We could, but it'd have to have one of the most hardcore-ass, variable valve timing systems you've ever seen. What it needs to really have, and this is possible, I know it is, I just don't know why it hasn't been applied yet, we need to have electric valves. In other words, a valve that's driven by a solenoid, that's what operates its up and down movement, right? And it really should exist by now anyway. electric valves are like the fucking smartest thing ever. If you could even put that in a 4-stroke, can you imagine how awesome your 4-stroke would be with electrically operated, you know, valves? Like imagine, you know, a 4-valve system, but instead of having like it's a no cam, like it would actually be thinner up top. You'd have less mechanical drag from not having a cam to turn. Plus, you'd have your own timing. Like you wouldn't even have to have a throttle body, okay? You could have like the best running engine. You could have like, this gnarly ass monster of an engine, but idle. It's not like, you know, there's no. It'd be like, it'd be running so smooth. You'd be like, fuck, is this thing even on? Squirrel was dead. And then just when you rev it up, it's like, you know, you've got, just like imagine like you got your, yeah, there's more that goes into it. Just this, but you got your fuel mapping, your ignition mapping, and then valve mapping. Fuck my dick, you could have like super efficient to raging power, the exact valve timing that you need for the RPM and condition that you're running. Oh my god, the possibilities. Anyway, sorry, off of that. So you got your electric valves and shit, right? And what that does is it's gonna make it where we can control things better. But like I said, with the 2-stroke, as it begins to make boost, you're gonna have to drastically change the exhaust valve timing. The ports, unfortunately, they're just stuck where they are, but it's okay because it comes down to the very bottom. It's fine, you're building boost, but if we can't control the exhaust opening precisely, then we're just not gonna get what you want out of it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can have one pretty insane motor. That's how it's gonna have to work. And then at that point, because you have an exhaust valve, you don't have to have that wave. You know, the reason there's that wave there is to cause a wave of pressure to slam back and try to seal it. Seal off the. It's trying to basically act as a closing valve when the port's still technically open. And this is the problem with 2-strokes. This is why 2-strokes really, you know, they get on the pipe. You know, they have that hard screaming power band. You know, where they're like. And that's why they do that. But I fix all that. I fixed that with my awesome valving system. Imagine a force injected 2-stroke. Like, oh my god! Like, you know, they already are. You could have like a little. You could have a 250. I think that could make like the power of like a 600, maybe more. You know, probably well more. What am I talking about? Yeah, you could. It'll probably never happen because 2-strokes are going away as it is. But oh man, like that would just be so awesome, especially with like, you know, like force injection and a direct injection and all that other bullshit. You could have like just such an insane fucking motor. Holy shit! Can you imagine how just nuts that thing would be? So I'd love to see the concept actually built someday. Should have even told you about it. You know, this would be like top secret shit. But like I fucking know what to do with that. So I've never seen it attempted like that, and I think if it was, it would work really well. And I think somebody with tons and tons of money should do it, and then send me one. Go fit this bike. It's like it's running really good right now, so I can't like. Just because I want to sell y'all know who that is. Like, oh, fucking hell, you know. I'm making this because a lot of y'all know who that is, but you don't sell to them. Mortal Kombat!